Hello and welcome to the Redwoods Online Volunteer Orientation. During this video, we'll be going over all the information you need to be prepared and ready to begin volunteering here at the Redwoods. Here's a short list of the agenda for today. We'll start by going over a brief history of the Redwoods. We'll talk about the expectations we have for some of our volunteers and as well as the opportunities that we have offered. Then we'll go over some tips and tricks to working with elders and the final steps to take to begin volunteering. The idea behind the Redwoods came into fruition in the 1960s when Mill Valley residents became committed to the idea of providing affordable housing and care for seniors on the principles of dignity, integrity, love, and respect. The Redwoods opened its doors to the first residents in 1972, and for over 40 years we have lived up to that original mission, which is to maintain a creative, affordable community that promotes good health, well-being, and security for a diverse group of elders. Next, we'll talk about some of the facilities on our campus. The Redwoods is situated on 10 acres of land with views of Mount Tamalpais and a protected wildlife marsh at the south end of our facility. We have 3 types of apartments to suit all of our residents' living needs, a number of lounges and reading areas, multiple gardens, outdoor patios, as well as a computer lab. Here, you can see photos of the dining room, our pool and jacuzzi, as well as the outside of our Creekside apartments. Next, we'll go over some of the expectations that we have for our volunteers. Here is a short list of some of the most important expectations that we have for our community volunteers. But before we get into those, I want to remind you that one of the most important aspects to volunteering at the Redwoods is to come excited and enthusiastic to work with our residents at the senior community. Now back to the expectations. We ask that you please wash your hands regularly while volunteering and call out to reschedule if you're feeling sick. It's also important to turn your phone off or to put it on silent during your volunteer shift because we don't allow texting while volunteering. We do have a very relaxed dress code for our volunteers, but if you're volunteering in the dining room, please wear pants, closed-toed shoes, shirts with sleeves, and please pull your hair back. The only other expectation that we have is to never go into a resident's room, no matter what, and this is important for both your safety as well as the residents. Now, we'll go over the different types of volunteer opportunities that we have available. There is some variety in these options, so feel free to start volunteering in an area that suits your interests or skills best. First, we have the Scott Garden, where volunteers will be working outside in the garden doing various tasks. Some of these tasks can include anything from planting and transplanting seeds to watering garden beds, but the primary function of this role is to assist our resident gardeners and to engage with them while they are in the garden. The next opportunity that we have available is to assist our dining service team. We offer regularly scheduled shifts to work in the dining room serving beverages, and our volunteers can also help host celebrations and parties when those events come up. Some tasks that would fall into these 2 categories would include serving food or beverages to residents, helping decorate for events, and assisting with cleaning up after a party or a celebration. Now, we do have some tech-savvy residents here at the Redwoods, and our Cyber Seniors volunteer opportunities consist of helping our residents with any technological support they may need. This can include personalizing screensavers or helping people become familiar with applications like Skype and Zoom. You'd be paired with a resident and would be helping them with whatever their specific needs are. And our final volunteer category revolves around assisting the resident in our healthcare center. These opportunities vary and can range anywhere from taking an afternoon stroll with a resident to hanging out and reading the newspaper with them. The primary focus in any of these roles is to enhance the social engagement you're having with the person that you are paired with. Now, we'll go over the steps you can take to schedule a volunteer shift for yourself. The most important thing to remember is that we do not accept drop-in volunteering. You must schedule a volunteer shift prior to the day that you want to volunteer. After you schedule your first shift, the first thing you'll want to do when you arrive to campus is to sign in to your volunteer account at the kiosk across from the dining hall. This will ensure your time and hours are accounted for while you're here. Your account PIN number is the 7-digit phone number that you used on your volunteer application without the area code, and it's very important to fill out your own application and include your own phone number because that is the PIN number that will be associated with your account. And please, don't forget to sign out after your shift too, or you may not get full hours counted for credit. These next few slides we'll go over are some tips and tricks to working with elders, and we'll start off by talking about some of the physical conditions to be cognizant of. It's very important to increase your awareness of any potentially hazardous items in your surrounding areas while volunteering. For instance, if you're serving coffee, you want to make sure not to fill the cup up entirely to avoid an accidental spill, and if you're working with a wheelchair resident, You want to make sure that the residents are safe and clear of any objects. You also want to ensure that the residents' arms and legs are safely in the wheelchair, because sometimes their body parts can become obstructions while walking as well. It's also very important to speak slowly and to enunciate your words while communicating with residents, because hearing and vision loss is common amongst elders. Now, we'll go over some of the behavioral conditions to be aware of while volunteering. It's important to be familiar with a group of conditions known as dementia, because it is fairly common among elders. Dementia can be described as a group of thinking and social symptoms that interferes with daily functions, and it can show in different ways, but aggressive and inappropriate speech, as well as a lack of filters while speaking, are some of the most common signs. Here are some tips about how to respond to someone when you think they may be experiencing signs of dementia. It's important to give short explanations and to repeat yourself in the exact same way to avoid confusion. Try to stay patient when communicating, but know that it is okay to remove yourself from a situation if you think a confrontation is arising. It's also very important to not argue or question the person's memory. You don't want to remind a resident that they are remembering incorrectly, because this can lead to more confusion for the resident.